News with Bill, Episode 6, Ground Beef Battery. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to News with Bill, where I tell you about the weird, odd, and bizarre news stories that you won't believe are true, and in a lot of cases, you'll wish they weren't true. So let's get right to it today. Hope all is well with everybody. It's getting hot here in the California Central Valley, so hope that you all are managing the heat. And we'll get right into the first story here in just one moment. I'm going to take a drink of my water. Well, without further ado, let's get on with the show. All right, first up today, we have head in the car, parts in the trunk. So authorities in Othello, Washington, were responding to reports of an abandoned vehicle with blood on the hood in the area of 2200 West Charla Lane last Thursday morning. So when they arrived, deputies found an abandoned 2014 Honda Accord with a blood-like substance, flesh, and white hair on the outside. Well, if there's flesh and white hair, I'm assuming that we can go from a blood-like substance to blood, but they probably have to word it like that for all the lawyerly kind of people. Anyway, this piqued their interest, and they went on to find a woman's head on the back floorboard and the remains of a second woman inside the trunk of the car. 28-year-old Mauricio Nava Garibay later confessed to killing the two women in a fight. He told officers he got into a physical fight with the first woman when he told her that he had a present in the garage for her. As the fight progressed, he ended up stabbing her in the neck with a knife. He then punched her in the face, stabbed her multiple times in the body, and strangled her with a belt and then an extension cord. Nava Garibay said the second woman also entered the garage during the fight, so he pushed her down, causing her to fall onto the car and then smash her head on the concrete floor. He then grabbed her by the head and stabbed her in the back of the neck. He said that he cut up their bodies because they were, quote, too heavy to lift into the car. The names and ages of the victims have not been revealed at this time, but investigators have potentially determined who one of the women is. Both bodies are in such poor condition that identification is extraordinarily difficult. Nava Garibay was booked into the Adams County Jail on suspicion of 2 counts of murder in the first degree and 2 counts of removal or concealment of a body. And I wouldn't be me if I didn't say that that this kind of gives a new meaning to the term junk in the trunk. Next up, we have stand your ground against an iguana. So, of course, this comes from Florida, where a judge has rejected the stand your ground defense of a Florida man who said he beat an iguana to death only after it attacked him. 43-year-old P.J. Patterson was arrested after beating, dragging, and kicking a 3-foot iguana in Lake Worth, Florida. A judge denied Patterson's stand your ground defense and ruled that he must now stand trial on a felony animal cruelty charge. The stand your ground law allows a person who's under attack and reasonably fears death or great bodily harm to use deadly force, even if they can retreat to safety. It has been used in several high-profile cases since it was adopted 16 years ago, but this is the first time the recipient of deadly force was an animal, and an iguana no less. According to prosecutors, Patterson, quote, savagely beat, tormented, tortured, and killed the 3-foot iguana in a half-hour attack that was caught on surveillance video. They argued that at no time was the iguana posing any real threat, and Patterson was not justified in his actions when he kicked this defenseless animal at least 17 times, causing its death. Under state law, people are allowed to kill iguanas, which are considered an invasive species, in a quick and humane manner. However, a necropsy performed in this case showed the iguana had a lacerated liver, broken pelvis, and internal bleeding, which prosecutors characterized as painful and terrifying injuries. And I'm wondering who paid to have an iguana necropsy done, but that's another story. Anyway, Patterson's public defender alleges that the iguana was the aggressor when it leaned forward with its mouth wide open and showing its sharp teeth in a threatening manner and then attacked Patterson. The judge wisely rejected that argument, and Patterson can get up to 5 years in prison if convicted. Well, once again, this must be Florida, because where else would somebody think that an iguana could possibly be a deadly threat? All right, this one gets a little deep with 10 bizarre things that people tried to sell online. And we kind of go into a couple of tangents too, but it's pretty interesting because the internet, when you think about it, has truly become like the world's junk sale. And it's like trolling around a local thrift store with that same thought. You never really can tell what you might find in the back corners of the shelves and what have you. And people really will try to sell anything online. And it gets ridiculous enough that sometimes you have to wonder if these people can possibly be serious. So I found this list of 10 bizarre things that people have tried to sell online. And you never know. There might be a bargain on this list that you just can't pass up. So going from 10 to 1. So number 10 is an actual sperm whale carcass. So in May of 2014, a 40-foot-long sperm whale carcass washed up on the beach in Newfoundland near Cape St. George. The city was told that they were responsible for disposing of the carcass, so they had to figure out a way to pay for the removal and cleanup. They first thought about renting a 50-foot boat to tow the carcass back out to sea, but the boat didn't have enough power. As the carcass started to rot and smell, the mayor thought, let's go to eBay. The mayor said that they weren't trying to profit from the dead whale, just trying to find someone to take it off their shores. The bidding for the carcass was up to $2,000 when eBay pulled the auction because of its policy against selling animals, dead or alive. Environment Canada also informed him that it was against Canadian law to sell an endangered species, even if it's dead. In the end, though, everything worked out when a westward wind came in at high tide and sent the carcass back out to sea, thus solving the problem. Okay, next up at number 9, a human soul. So believe it or not, eBay actually has a policy against this. And when asked about it, they responded, and this is a quote, if the soul does not exist, eBay could not allow the auctioning of the soul because there would be nothing to sell. However, if the soul does exist, then in accordance with eBay's policy on human parts and remains, we would not allow the auctioning of human souls. And naturally, it turns out there's a reason that eBay has this policy. You guessed it, people have been trying to sell their souls for quite some time. Back in 2008, a member of a band called Paradigm tried to auction his soul for £25,000, which is about $37,500 US. As part of the deal, he would send updates on his soul, along with a cut of his and the band's earnings. And to add icing to the cake, he would also send the buyer a birthday card every year. Well, that's nice. And in an effort to allow common sense to prevail, he included a clause where he could buy back his soul for £100 million, which is about $150 million US. It takes all sorts, right? Number 8 on the list, of course, poop. So sold on marketplaces all over by online businesses and all sorts of things. Selling poop is somehow really found this kind of corner of the market. Brilliantly named website mailpoop.com provides a gag gift for that special someone, a nice box of dog poop. Pricing depends on the size of the dog providing the poop. For instance, a 110-pound dog will provide 2 pounds of fecal joy for the low price of $20. Their website even has a photo gallery of their dogs that are producing the products. For the more discerning shopper, there is, I'll have to say, swordexpress.com, that will send a sealed plastic container of horse, gorilla, or even elephant poop. The nice thing is that these can also come with an anonymous note from the sender, and some of the messages that they have included are things like, each of these will be a quote, "One steaming pile from me to you," and "I hate your guts." Another type of note tries to give the recipient some perspective, saying, at first, think about yourself. This was sent to you probably because you hurt or insulted someone. Take a deep breath. Nothing bad happened. You should try to be a better person from now on. Number 7 on the list of things that people have tried to sell online, belly button lint. Well, while the TV show Storage Wars, it's quite obvious that they have some planted items. I have no doubt that there's some really odd and or interesting storage unit finds. And I'm sure that the same can be said for things like garage sales, swap meets, and the like. And as we've talked about a couple of these other stories, eBay kind of represents the next great frontier of people unloading worthless junk. And, they do say one person's trash is another person's treasure, right? Or maybe that's what people say as a justification to buy some of this stupid stuff. And they do have all sorts of items, but when you come across the ad for 72 mild Taco Bell sauce packets for $18, you have to wonder. Or the iPhone 7 priced at $500 that looks like it took a few spins in a garbage disposal. Or a rare peanut with 4 nuts inside for the reasonable price of $500. So the winner of the most bizarre item for sale online has to go to the Baltimore man who posted on a Mopar website for car enthusiasts. His offer? To trade his belly button lint for a muscle car, motorcycle, rifles, gold coins, or simply cash. He actually had several collections of lint in sealed plastic containers, with the collection date ranges clearly labeled on each. And he actually had the nerve to add serious offers only. And number 6, a single-use plastic bag. So this is that part of the category of people selling things that are rare or no longer normally available, or at least that's what people want to believe. So one seller in kind of this section believed that pencils were already archaic, and he advertised a 2019 model pencil for $49. Didn't even have an eraser. Another seller posted an image of 2 snowballs in their freezer, advertising that they were from the blizzard of January 2016, which he proclaimed the biggest snowfall in New York City history. Asking price was $10,000 plus $2,000 for shipping. And on the other side of the world, one creative Aussie thought that he'd jump on something right away. He posted an image of a plastic bag in a picture frame with the caption, "We banned single-use plastic bags this time last year," and titled it, "The Last Plastic Bag." Asking price, a very reasonable $250. Number 5 on the list of odd things that people have tried to sell online, a Harambe-shaped Flamin' Hot Cheeto. So we have all heard of instances where somebody sees the Virgin Mary on a piece of toast or different things in the clouds. This is actually the result of pareidolia, which is our tendency to see the familiar in chaotic or random forms. Think of it as a kind of mental shorthand that helps our brains fill in the blanks. Where things go a little nuts is when people start spending ridiculous amounts of money on these things. A frequently cited example of this is the cheese sandwich made by Diane Dreiser in 1994. As she was taking a bite, she looked and saw the Virgin Mary staring back. She was so surprised, she put the sandwich in a plastic bag with cotton balls and left it on her nightstand for 10 years, where it did not develop any mold at all. In 2004, Dreiser decided it was time to share her miraculous sandwich with the world, selling it on eBay for $28,000. Now, as ridiculous as that is, there's also something weird going on with cornflakes. In 2008, a Texas man purchased a cornflake shaped like the state of Illinois for $1,350. He also purchased another cornflake that was billed as the world's largest. And there was a cornflake shaped like Australia that sold for over $200. Jesus also frequently appears on food, and when his face appeared on a pierogi on Easter of 2005, it sold for just under $2,000. Jesus has also appeared on a banana peel, a sour cream and onion potato chip, a burnt fish stick, a pizza crust, and a grilled cheese sandwich. Irregular shapes and snacks have caused some pretty intense bidding wars. The asking price of a Cheeto shaped like a flying Superman was $5,000. A Dorito shaped like the Pope's mitre went for $1,200. And in 2017, a Flamin' Hot Cheeto shaped like the famous gorilla Harambe sold for nearly $100,000. And in case you don't remember, that was the gorilla in the Cincinnati Zoo that was they had to kill after a 3-year-old child fell into its enclosure. Number 4 on the list, a country jacuzzi hot tub. So online purchases are not limited to merchandise. There's also a lot of people selling services online. If people find themselves getting nagged by an over-involved family member about finding a mate, or they at least want to appear taken to chase off the creeps, there's the invisible boyfriend or girlfriend service. The user fills out a questionnaire, and it forms their ideal boyfriend or girlfriend's personality, chooses a selfie from the company's collection to download on their phone, and selects a How We Met narrative for their collection. The user will then get text messages from their invisible lover. And for an extra fee, their lover will also send gifts or flowers on holidays, birthdays, and Valentine's Day. There are companies that will provide fake job references or valid alibis for you when you call in sick or when you want to cheat on your significant other. You can hire professional wedding guests to fill out the church, paparazzi to help you feel like a celebrity, and even rent a wife to test drive a marriage before you find a partner that can actually put up with you. But this one takes the cake. One vendor offered to come to your house and build what they called a country jacuzzi hot tub for $9,500. Essentially, the guy would cut a steel water or natural gas tank in half, mount a 4-person seat on the side, an air tank, and a tube for a bubbler, and then set it all over a campfire. The seller promises the water will heat up in only 2 hours and will stay warm until morning. There is not any more detail in the description, so I'm really trying to figure out how all this would work and trying to figure out why people wouldn't just buy a new modern jacuzzi with all the bells and whistles that could probably cost, like half that. Number 3 on the list of odd things that people have put up for sale online, a whiff of Brangelina. Apparently, clean air is a big business, especially to those living in heavily polluted countries such as China and India. A company called Vitality Air makes over $300,000 every year by bottling 8 liters of mountain air from Alberta, Canada, and selling the containers for $32. Then there is a Ziploc bag of Alberta Air that launched the company when its owners sold it on eBay for $169 in 2014. Oh, and you can always purchase jars of British Air for $113. In 2015, a Ziploc bag of air from the, quote, hippest neighborhood in the world in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, sold on eBay for just over $20,000. And to add dumb to stupidity, Celebrity Air can go for even more outrageous amounts. In 2015, a Ziploc bag of air supposedly from a Kanye West concert during his Yeezus tour went on eBay with an initial asking price of $5. After 90 bids, the price ballooned to $60,000. And real quick as an aside, I'm a bit surprised that it went for so much considering Kanye's hot air is, quite frankly, not rare at all. And then there was the Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie thing. So that's where Brangelina comes from for those that have been living under a rock and didn't know that. Anyway, back in 2010, when they were dating, a jar went up for auction on eBay that was reportedly filled with Brad and Angelina's exhaled air that was caught as it walked by the jar during a red carpet event. There is no indication that they actually exhaled into the jar or if the jar was even in their vicinity, but either way, some complete idiot ended up buying the jar for $523. Next up, we have a crypt near Marilyn Monroe's. So, bizarre obsessions over celebrity personal items are not new. So, some recent examples of some of this craziness I'm talking about. Scarlett Johansson's used tissue sold for $5,300. Justin Timberlake's uneaten French toast, $3,154. Lady Gaga's fake fingernail, $13,000. And William Shatner's kidney stone, $25,000. Of course, that one might be worth it just to have. But and also quite a few personal items of Britney Spears have been auctioned as well, including a used wad of chewing gum for $14,000, a half-eaten egg salad sandwich for $520, and to top it all off, a used pregnancy test taken from her hotel bathroom, $5,000. Though she's been dead since 1962, Marilyn Monroe still suffers from intrusions into her personal life. In 2010, 3 1954 x-rays of her chest taken when she entered a Florida hospital were auctioned. The frontal chest x-ray went for $25,000, while the 2 profile images went for $10,000 apiece. So when she died in 1962, she was buried in a mausoleum at the Pierce Brothers Westwood Village Memorial Park Cemetery. The crypt above her eventually ended up with the man who took up residency there in 1986. Well, 23 years later, his widow decided that she wanted to pay off her $1.6 million mortgage, so she had him moved and put the crypt on auction. Starting price was $500,000. Because of the spot's proximity to Marilyn Monroe, the 3-day auction bidding topped out at $4.6 million. That is some pricey real estate. So, number one on this list, we go and we have to figure out, we've sold all this weird stuff, and how are we going to use the proceeds? Okay, and so that's kind of where this list ends up. So the internet has also become a marketplace for remnants of bad relationships. So back in 2008, a woman discovered a condom wrapper and underwear that did not belong to her in her bed. Since eBay doesn't allow the auction of these types of things, she ended up auctioning off a picture of them. After that, she had plans to sell her husband's Harley for 98 cents. There's no word if that ever ended up happening. And one Oklahoma City woman advertised her husband's riding lawnmower for $500. Of course, she had to include some choice lines in the description, things like, "It's got less miles than his girlfriend," and "barely used, unlike his cheap girlfriend." Another ad offered a free $1,600 couch and a love seat that was only a month old. In the photos, there are clearly several rips and holes in the upholstery. The description said, "So, me and my husband got into a fight. I moved my stuff into a storage unit, and I went over because I still had the key. I found that he had bought new couches, so I murdered them, but by stabbing and ripping them." Of course, they ended up getting back together, so the couches with the holes had to go. And in 2016, a British woman ran off with another man, taking her husband's vehicle and leaving her own 2004 smart car behind. The car was especially insulting because he thought it was a horrible purchase when she originally bought it. And who wouldn't? He sold that and the rest of her personal possessions on eBay, saying that he'd used the proceeds to get drunk and purchase the services of a prostitute. Hey, at least he wasn't going to waste any of the money, right? Now, thinking about this list, I'm the first person to admit that I buy some pretty dumb stuff on the internet. But the things that these people got, man, they actually make my purchases seem somewhat reasonable. I mean, my Aztec death whistle pales by comparison. And yes, I did say Aztec death whistle. Next up, we have ground beef battery. So, police responding to a disturbance in the potato chip aisle of an Ohio Walmart, go figure, ended up arresting a woman for striking a female victim in the face with a 10-pound log of ground beef. The confrontation at the store in South Euclid, a Cleveland suburb, involved two women, Monica Garner and Precious Jackson, who police say used to live in the same duplex. 36-year-old Jackson, who is the victim of the beef battery, previously secured a protection order against 25-year-old Garner. According to police, when the pair spotted each other in Walmart, Garner threatened to beat up Jackson and her 7-year-old daughter, who was with her. Garner pulled down Jackson's mask and attempted to spit on her. When she missed the target, Garner reached into Jackson's shopping cart and removed the prepackaged meat log, which she then used to strike the victim multiple times on the face and head. In the weapons used section of the police report, the ground beef is described as a blunt object. Garner, who according to police has a history of violent behavior, was arrested for assault and violating a protective order. In addition, Garner had several active warrants when she was arrested. In her court appearance for the beef attack, Garner pleaded not guilty to both charges. Well, it really seems, and I think you can probably back me up on this, that Walmart has devolved into the Florida of the retail world. Not like it wasn't before, but I think this really just drives it home. Ah, yes, and now we have Stop Animal Insults. So PETA, People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, is demanding that people stop using speciesist terms such as chicken, pig, or rat as insults for humans. And as you will soon hear, the grief that they took for this is most well-deserved. The PETA tweet that revealed this was so widely mocked online that it soon boasted an embarrassing ratio of almost 11,000 comments by the next morning. In their video call to action, the group stated, quote, "Calling someone an animal as an insult reinforces the myth that humans are superior to other animals and justified in violating them. Stand up for justice by rejecting supremacist language." PETA social media reps also included a chart detailing the human supremacist terminology and suggesting alternative language, such as using coward instead of chicken, snitch for rat, jerk rather than snake, repulsive rather than pig, and lazy to describe someone with sloth-like tendencies. A lot of the responses share the same sentiment of the comment, "I can't tell if this is real or you guys are making fun of yourselves." In response to the overwhelming mockery, PETA President Ingrid Newkirk said, quote, "The knee-jerk dismissals are a reflection of the times we want to put behind us, and after ridicule comes discussion, and then acceptance, as we've seen with our campaigns to end the use of fur and to point out how inhumane and unhealthy cow's milk is, among others." Now, as far as this story goes, there's really nothing else to do at this point except play the track for you, which, of course, I'm going to. I've trimmed the audio just a little bit to shorten it for you. It's about 1:45 or something like that. But I will include the full unedited version, the video of it, on the website, newswithbill.com/6, and that will get you right to this episode's portion of the web. And if you get, once again, newswithbill.com/6, I will have a link to the YouTube video there. So I guess please forgive me now, but here we go.
If you gain weight from too much chow, I will never call you a cow. I respect you and cows.
Don't use cow as an insult.
If you eat every single fig, I will never call you a pig. I respect you and pigs.
Don't use pig as an insult. Animals are innocent. Don't be speciesist. Never use the name of an animal as an insult for a human.
If you avoid thoughts that are deep, I will never call you a sheep. I respect you and sheep.
Don't use sheep as an insult.
If you get scared and your pulse quickens, I will never call you a chicken. I respect you and chickens.
Don't use chicken as an insult. Animals are innocent. Don't be speciesist. Never use the name of an animal as an insult for a human.
If you're disloyal and we have a spat, I will never call you a rat. I respect you and rats.
Don't use rat as an insult.
If you check out women while out for a jog, I will never call you a dog. I respect you and dogs.
Don't use dog as an insult.
If you complain that we're not rich, I will never call you a bitch. I respect you and female dogs.
Don't use bitch as an insult.
If you tell a lie and make my trust break, I will never call you a snake. I respect you and snakes.
Don't use snake as an insult. Animals are innocent. Don't be speciesist. Never use the name of an animal as an insult for a human. Animals are innocent. Don't be speciesist. Never use the name of an animal as an insult for a human.
I asked for your forgiveness first, so I don't know what you need to say about that. And finally today, we have inappropriate cockpit conduct. A Southwest Airlines pilot has been sentenced to 1 year of probation after watching porn on a flight and exposing his genitals to another officer. 60-year-old pilot Michael Hawk was sentenced by U.S. Magistrate Judge J. Mark Colson and ordered to pay $5,000. Hawk said about the incident, quote, "It started as a consensual prank between me and another pilot. I never imagined it would turn into this in 1,000 years. The flight took place about a year ago when Captain Hawk disrobed on the flight en route from Philadelphia to Orlando as he watched pornography on a laptop in the cockpit. Prosecutors characterized this as, quote, not the kind of behavior that anyone should accept." And they continued, as the plane continued its flight, Hawk further engaged in inappropriate conduct in the cockpit as the first officer continued to perform her duties as an assigned aircrew member. Shortly after retiring in April, Hawk pleaded guilty to intentionally committing a lewd, indecent, or obscene act in a public place. Hawk's attorney said he offers no excuses, and that the embarrassment and resulting publicity of this incident has in and of itself been humbling to Michael Hawk and has served as punishment in many ways. According to a Southwest representative, they have ceased paying Mr. Hawk any benefits he was entitled to as a result of his separation from the airline. Now, let's be serious. Southwest has gone downhill ever since they stopped serving peanuts. And now this? I mean, it's not like there wasn't somebody else in the cockpit flying the plane, right? Jeez. Alrighty. Well, that is going to do it for this episode of News with Bill. Please be sure to subscribe to the show and give us a rating wherever you listen to podcasts. And please remember, I would love to hear your feedback, your ideas, anything. Let me know what you think. You can comment on this episode at newswithbill.com/6. And remember, I'm at newswithbill on Twitter and Instagram. And you can send an email to feedback@newswithbill.com. But perhaps the best thing, you can call and leave a voicemail on the News with Bill hotline. And so you just give a call to 209-854-4620. You leave a message, I'll play it on the air next time. All right, once again, that's 209-854-4620. Don't forget to tell a friend about the show. Thanks for listening. I'll catch you next time.